In our world today, we are just surrounded by these huge, bold claims. So today, we're going to take on one that's super simple on the surface, but actually incredibly provocative. We are going to deconstruct just 5 little words to understand the massive shift they might actually represent.
And here it is. Dating apps changed female psychology. Wow, that's a huge claim, right? All packed into 5 words. Now, look, our goal here isn't to prove this is right or to prove it's wrong. Instead, we're going to act like detectives. We're going to take it apart, piece by piece, and really get a handle on the full weight of what's actually being said here.
So where do we even begin? Well, let's start with the first 2 words, dating apps. I mean, it's a term we all throw around, but what kind of technology are we really talking about? Because you'll see, the specifics here, they are everything. Let's get really specific. What are the core mechanics that make a dating app so different from, say, meeting someone at a coffee shop or getting set up by a friend? Because the whole argument isn't just about meeting people online, it's about the unique, very particular design of these platforms.
Okay, so here are the core ingredients. First, you've got algorithmic curation. A system, not you, decides who you see, creating this sort of curated reality. Then, there's the gamified interface. That swipe mechanic, it's basically delivering unpredictable rewards, which feels a lot like a slot machine, right? And this is all built on top of a vast choice pool, which can trigger something psychologists call the paradox of choice, where having more options actually makes you less satisfied. And finally, you've got asynchronous communication, which just means you're texting without the immediate feedback of a face-to-face chat. You put all those things together, and you have a totally new environment for romance.
Right, so with that specific technological design in mind, our understanding of dating apps is already so much richer. Let's go back to our sentence. We've defined the tool. Now let's look at the verb, the action it's supposedly taking.
Okay, part 2. This focuses on the real engine of this sentence, the word changed. This one little word is the pivot point for the whole claim, because its meaning could be anything from totally trivial to something absolutely profound.
You know, change is a really slippery word. Does it just mean a small adjustment in dating habits? Or is the claim something much, much bigger, like a fundamental rewiring of our internal thoughts and our emotional responses? The scale here is absolutely critical to understanding the claim.
So this slide kind of shows you the 2 ends of the spectrum. On one end, you have a behavioral shift. People just act differently. They swipe on the bus, they use different pickup lines. But the more radical claim, that's psychological rewiring. This suggests the underlying operating system of the mind is being altered. Things like your sense of self-worth, your attachment style, even your basic drive to find a partner. One is just about habit, but the other, that's about your identity.
So let's check back in with our sentence. We've defined the tech, and we've explored the whole spectrum of what change could mean. Our picture's getting way more detailed. So now, let's tackle the final, and you could argue the most complex part of this whole claim.
And this brings us to probably the most loaded term in the whole sentence. Female psychology. Now, this itself is a huge, incredibly diverse concept. It's not some single monolithic thing. But just for the sake of breaking down this claim, let's explore which parts of this vast internal world might be affected.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page, what even is psychology? It's the scientific study of the mind and behavior. So when this claim says that psychology has changed, it's arguing that the very engine of our thoughts, feelings, and actions has been altered. I mean, that is a massive, massive claim to make.
So how can we make this more concrete? Well, we can ask which parts of psychology are supposedly being changed. Is it self-perception, how you value yourself when you're in a marketplace of seemingly infinite choice? Or is it mate selection, the actual criteria you use to pick a partner? Maybe it's decision-making, that cognitive load of constantly swiping and evaluating that just leads to burnout. Or maybe it's risk assessment, how you calculate emotional and physical safety when you're meeting strangers. The original claim could be about any or even all of these really deep-seated functions.
Okay, so we've disassembled the machine, we've inspected all the parts, the tool, the action, and the subject. Now it's time to put it all back together and see what this claim really looks like with all this new context.
And this brings us right to the key takeaway. That original sentence, it isn't just a simple statement anymore. It's actually a complex equation. You've got these specific app mechanics interacting with a specific type of change, which in turn affects specific areas of psychology. To really understand the claim, you have to define all the variables.
So let's look at this sentence one last time. Dating apps changed female psychology. It looks the same, but it doesn't really sound the same anymore, does it? Now you can actually see all the questions embedded inside it. Which mechanics? What kind of change? Which parts of psychology? It's no longer just a statement someone's making. It's a complex, testable hypothesis about our relationship with our own technology.
And this whole exercise, it really points to a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond dating apps. We know our tools can shape our actions, that's obvious, but at what point do the tools we build start to rebuild us? When does shaping what we do become shaping who we are? That's the real question at the heart of all this, something to think about.